Jake Barnes is a broken man. He lies awake at night, unable to sleep. He stays up laughing about how funny everything is, but the only joke he can recall is the Italian front of the Great War. He yearns for the lady Brett Ashley, a broken woman that tries to mend her heart with the attention she receives through her various flings. They are part of the lost generation that survived the Great War, completely aimless after all traditional notions of morality, justice, love, and civilization were upended. Jake, Brett, and the rest of the lost generation rise every morning unsure of what to make of the world, filling the void in their lives with drink. They keep drinking unhappily, miserably, to distract themselves, to numb themselves from the pain of an unfulfilling, amoral world, until at last the sun also rises. The story begins with Jake and Robert Cohn, a man that faces constant disrespect through the novel for being Jewish, including from Jake and the lady Brett Ashley, whom Robert fosters an attraction to. Although Brett is set to marry Mike Campbell, she disappears to San Sebastian, secretly meeting Robert there. Later, Jake and all his friends head to Pamplona, Spain to watch the running of the bulls and bullfights. While they're in Pamplona, Brett becomes attracted to Pedro Romero, a young matador that Robert Cohn beats to a pulp when he finds them in bed together. Brett and Pedro run off, but while Jake is relaxing by himself, he gets a message from Brett to come to Madrid to help her after she abandoned Pedro. Brett laments that Jake and her could never have what they want and says, "We could have had such a damned good time together." Jake simply asks, "Isn't it pretty to think so?" Hemingway did what no other expat in Europe at the time could do. Hemingway masterfully transformed his experiences after the Great War to show the scars of the war and the so-called lost generation, a term coined by Gertrude Stein and used as an epigraph. The other epigraph hits another key theme of the impermanence of things. "One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to the place where he arose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turned about unto the north it whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again." Nothing lasts, nor does it mean anything, but the earth will always be here as the sun rises. The lost generation found no meaning in the world they found themselves in after the Great War. No amount of partying or sexual escapades could make up for that. The story really begins to open up during a car ride with Jake and Brett in Chapter 4. The cab started with a jerk. "Oh darling, I've been so miserable," Brett said. By the book's end, they're still in the same place with the car coming to a halt. "Oh Jake," Brett said, "we could have had such a damned good time together." Ahead was a mounted policeman in khaki directing traffic. He raised his baton. The car slowed suddenly, pressing Brett against me. "Yes," I said. "Isn't it pretty to think so?" Jake tries to find meaning in his relationship with Brett, as they both love each other, but her promiscuity frustrates him. Frustrating him even further is the injury he sustained during the Great War that made him impotent, incapable of satisfying Brett's sexual needs. He's got it so bad, he helps her find the next distraction to attempt to fill her own life. He tries to find meaning in bullfighting, finding vitality in the hyper-masculine sport, but this never leads to his own happiness. As we see, Brett runs off with Pedro, who can perform as a man. Although it's easy to look at Brett as a negative portrayal of women, she's just as complex. She's incredibly modern, being an openly promiscuous woman that declares her own independence. Interestingly, all of her friends are men, all of whom she's attempted to lay with. While Brett is a strong feminine presence in the novel, she does exhibit some traditionally masculine behaviors. Of course, with her desire for independence, as well as her promiscuity, she also wears her hair very short and calls all of her male friends chaps, implying that she too is one of the boys. When Pedro tells her he wants to marry her so she can never go away from him, after she'd gotten more womanly of course, she tells him to leave. She's not going to be one of those bitches that ruins children. The Sun Also Rises is a brilliant novel showing the effects on the people who survived the war and the struggles that they went through thereafter. Just what was the Great War really like? What happened? What did it feel like to be in the thick of it? Next month, we'll explore the story of Frederick Henry when he says, "A Farewell to Arms."